Hey guys, how's it going? Kriparian here. Today I want to give you guys a sponsored Gwent video where I give you guys some of my experiences for the first time, I guess, but for me it's returning to the game. I played a bit of Gwent before launch, and I was a bit familiar with the mechanics, and I got back into it last week, and it was quite a blast. Today I'm going to give you guys just a quick intro here on the game itself so you can know whenever you watch a Gwent stream or a Gwent YouTube video what's going on and maybe try the game yourself. So it is a very free-to-play friendly game. They did hook me up with meteorite powder. I'll show you guys what that's like. It's basically the currency that's used to make cards animated. If I want to turn the regular Bran into the animated Bran, I would use meteorite powder. So they hooked me up with that. But other than that, I paid $5 for the starter pack, and that's it. You cannot use meteorite powder to generate cards themselves, only convert normal cards to bigger cards. So, Gwent is based on the Witcher lore and all that kind of stuff. It's a very rich game, and it basically features many different type of decks. And in my opinion, it's very different from a normal card game. It has a very different feeling to it. It's, I would say, a kind of combination of a card game and like a board game. So if you never played Gwent, I think you would really love how it takes on the card game genre. So if you want to make a deck, you choose between Monsters, Nilfgaard, Northern Realms, Scoia'tael, or Skellige, I believe it's called. I don't know, I'm probably butchering some of those. I ended up making a Nilfgaard deck. It's centered around the alchemy kind of bronze units, I guess. So look at 2 random bronze alchemy cards and play one. And the Viper Witcher is kind of the center point of the deck. Deal 1 damage for each alchemy card in your starting deck, and basically you run like 9 to 11 alchemy cards. And I know some of you guys might be confused seeing some of these cards for the first time. It's like, oh my god, there's only 1 number on the card. Crip, please, I don't understand. It's so confusing. It's not. Really, if any point of this video seems confusing, just go pick up Gwent. I got a link below. Helps me out if you use it. You will learn the game by playing more than any other. It's actually, the basics are quite simple, but the strategy is very complex, of course, and the better player wins a lot of the time. In fact, on my return to the game, I was playing a bit off stream. My first like 4 to 5 games, I lost all of them with the starter deck, and with the same starter deck, I won the next 8 in a row. You know, just learning to play the game is very important when it comes to results, I guess. So this is your leader card. It's basically the gold card that you always have, always starts in your opener. You can see here at the top, you can have 4 gold cards. Gold cards are just better than the other cards. Then you can have up to 6 silver cards. The silver cards are better than the bronze cards, and you need at least 15 bronze cards. You can have more. I believe you can have a 40 card deck, but the minimum is 25. And if you know what you're doing, you probably want a 25 card deck. Now, I'm no expert, and this is not like the best deck ever. Please don't copy this deck. There's a lot of other decks out there, or even a better variation of this one for you to try if you wish. But there are some really cool concepts. The deck that I have here, kind of my own twist on the alchemy based on whatever I just had available through my packs and my offerings. I'm using Emmer as my leader, and he allows me to play some pretty high tempo cards in the first round, and I'm able to get him back with Kahir. And I'm able to stall out the second turn through cards like Cantrella. Card advantage is extremely important in Gwent, as I'll show you in a practice game here shortly. And the main idea is if I win the first round, I can just, burn my opponent's cards down in the second round and almost guarantee a third round victory. Now, if I lose the first round, it's pretty bad, but I can still win, and there's some interesting things that happen. That's basically that deck, just to introduce you guys to the game itself here. A lot of these cards are beautiful. So if you look at any animated card, it has sound effect. You can look through it. They're gorgeous. There's so much depth and detail in every single aspect of this game right now. So you got your deck builder. You can do cosmetics and that kind of stuff. You can buy card kegs, but again, I basically bought the starter pack for $5. And honestly, if you're playing a game that's for free and you love it, giving them something back and still being able to play competitively That's pretty fair. A lot of people play Gwent free to play. It's a very friendly card game in that regard. They have a lot of events going on at any given time. You can play casual matches, which is basically not ranked. It doesn't matter if you do well or not. I believe there's some matchmaking, but I'm not too sure. The arena mode is very interesting. You basically sign a pact with Gaunter. How about that? And it works similarly as you might expect in arena mode, but the decks are really crazy. If you know the base mechanics very well but are not familiar with the meta decks, arena is actually a really good spot. I ended up playing one round of arena, did pretty well, and the main reason is because people have just crazy decks. You can have like 10 gold cards in your arena. It doesn't follow the normal deck proportional structure. So, you know, all the craziness, you just can't play around it, and if you have inexperience with the meta decks, well, it doesn't matter because you're not really playing meta decks, you're playing whatever you end up drafting. I have heard that good arena players almost always do exceptionally well in Gwent, so maybe that's some incentive for you guys. Ranked match, more serious than casual mode, I suppose. Leaderboards, you get a lot of rewards actually. Practice is basically just what I'm going to show you guys, some whatever AI, just to kind of understand the mechanics of the game. The challenges are really important. The challenges reward you with currencies to get kegs, and they reward you with all of the leader cards. So basically, the first thing after just check out all the different play modes and things the game has to offer. Doing the challenges is very important. It's essentially the tutorial. But it's a very fun way of doing the tutorial. Alright, so how does a game of Gwent work? Let's start with my deck here. I'm obviously going to win, but yeah, I'm just going to highlight to you guys how it works. So, as I mentioned, it is a card game, but it very much feels like a board game. You need to be very resourceful with everything that you do. So when the game starts, you get your opening hand. You typically want to keep your high rarity cards. Cards are balanced around their rarity. Almost every single gold card in the game is better than like almost every single bronze card in the game. So that's basically the idea there. I'm not going to go into advanced strategy for this deck, but basically you want to generally mulligan or redraw the cards that are lower rarity, but sometimes some of these cards are very good to have in your opener. This is actually a pretty good opening hand, as well. I have all 4 rare cards, and this one searches for 1, so actually it's not a very good card, not a very good hand. I'm going to have to not play one of my golden cards here, and yeah, try to search for it after I mulligan away in the next rounds. So there are 3 rounds in any game of Gwent, and as you see, every card only has 1 number on it, and this is kind of like the power of the card. Your goal in Gwent is to have more power than your opponent, and you want to do that while using the fewest number of cards, while using even the weakest cards that you have. You want to have just the slightest win that you can get, so you have more resources for the following rounds. Card advantage as a result is extremely important. If you think you've played enough, either you're too ahead or too behind to come back in the game while using a reasonable number of cards and resources, you can pass. And passing means that you can no longer actively play, and your opponent can if they wish, but sometimes it's best not to. So my opponent led with a card that has resilience. This card will stay on the field into the next round. So this is a card that's very good to remove. So I'm actually going to do, well, I want to do exactly that, but I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to play my leader, play a card, and return a bronze or silver ally to your hand. So I play him. I'm going to forcefully play the Viper Witcher. I'm playing him in one of the 3 lanes. The lanes are not all that important for the basic strategy, but there are some buff effects that buffs adjacent guys, and there are some kill effects that kills adjacent guys, and there are some weather effects or some boon effects which are reoccurring every turn that damage or boost the power levels of the units within that row. So you have like the melee row, the ranged row, and the siege row as a result of that. Generally, in terms of basic strategy, you want to be playing things heavily in 2 rows, unless your deck has positive synergy for playing them in 3 rows. I can't believe my opponent just played 3 of those in a row. I am not sure if I can kill them at this point. Let's see here. So I really want to win the first round, and since I can bleed them out on the second round and just have a slight card advantage in the third, resulting in a guaranteed win, that should be fine, but still I'm not too sure. So this creates a bronze unit from my opponent's starting deck. It's typically pretty interesting. Oh, look, I got a dwarf of my own here. So, okay, he's going to have a resilience guy. I'm going to have a resilience guy. I guess that's the plan here, but typically these like to get killed off. So there is some strategy here. As you saw, my opponent, you can check through the card history, boost a unit by 10. So boost is actually a temporary buff, but there are some cards that have permanent buffs. So strengthen and weaken is a permanent stat change effect. So I'm actually going to play Vesemir here, one of my gold cards, to play a bronze or silver alchemy card from my deck, one of which is heal a unit and strengthen it by 6, or reset it and weaken it by 6. So I'm actually going to pick this, and typically I actually use it on my leader card because I can resurrect it with Kahir here on a different turn, and because it is a strengthen effect, it will keep the buff not only when I first play this card, but when I resurrect the card, which is very interesting. But in this case, I'm actually going to reset and weaken. Reset will reset the boosts, so it's going to take away that 10 and it's going to reduce it by 6, essentially actually removing the card from the game. It's actually not going to show up in his graveyard pile because in this case, well, he's got nothing. Now, if this was a normal game, oh wow, my opponent actually passed. So basically, my opponent being 29 points behind, there's almost no cards that can generate that amount of points, and even if you did have them, it's better to save them for the following rounds. So let's take a look at my opponent's position. He's going to lose this first round, best of 3 here, and he has his leader card, it's kind of a card. He's got 6 other cards, so he has 7 cards, and I have 7 cards. So we're essentially on an even footing if you look at card advantage, and that is an aspect that you typically want to look at. But I won the first round, so I'm a little bit ahead. If you win, you have to play first, which is actually a disadvantage because it's better to play reactively, but I kept the resilience dwarf that I got from his deck. So this turn, I'm actually going to want to return... Let's return Kahir here, because I want to search for Kahir here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Kahir, which is going to buff him because he's the last rare card, golden card in my deck. I'm going to play him. It's going to resurrect my leader card from the previous turn. My leader card is going to force me to play a card. I'm going to play the Slave Driver because it's the smallest unit, and it's going to take a Resilience Dwarf from my opponent's deck that's going to stay until next turn. Then I'm going to return... I can return the Slave Driver, or I can return the other Defender, and Resilience only lasts for 1 turn, so I could actually get another rollover with the Dwarf, but I think I probably get another dwarf if I return the Slave Driver and I have more points on the board. So it's very rare to go 2 rounds to 0 in Gwent because, well, it's just very unlikely that you have that much of a push. But because this is the AI and because I'm playing a pretty good deck, that might actually happen. Summon all copies of this unit, boost an ally by 7. Fine, let's boost an ally by 7. Let's make sure this doesn't die, because it's going to stick around until next turn. Now there's some... oh wow, he actually used Scorch. Scorch kills the highest units, so he actually burned my guy away. Now with this deck, with this general strategy, I can show you guys how interesting some of these cards can be. So Cantrella, this is a spying unit, so this is played for my opponent. So if I play this card, see, when I want to play this card, it's actually, I can't play it on my own side, I play it on his rows. So there's some strategy to this. See, if I play it in the first row, suddenly I can use cards that negatively impact when he has a unit in every single row. The particular reason you'd want to play Cantera, it's one of the most powerful cards in the game. Yes, it gives your opponent stats, but you use 1 card and you get a card back. So you're making a play without losing a card from your hand, which is card advantage, which is extremely powerful, right? Now, not only that, but the idea of this card is it's a single use. So if I play this, put it on my opponent's side, and then when we go to round 3, if we go to round 3, because I'll probably win this one, but whatever, let's that aside. When we go to round 3, this is going to be in his graveyard because it died on his side of the board. So then I'm actually going to use a sire, return 2 bronze or silver cards from either graveyard to their respective decks. Scoia'tael is going to go back into his deck, but the single use effect of cycling the card is single use, so you can't use it again. So if he draws this card, it's literally a completely dead card. So I'm putting a dead card in his deck after I'm getting positive use out of it. So I get to look at a card. I'm going to pick the novice there. And yes, I lost points here, but I gained card advantage. And that is absolutely more valuable. So that's the idea here. This deck is really interesting. Yeah, I'll just play. This is usually just a bunch of stats. This is... ooh. Let's play that, and let's hit his dwarf. Sure. All right. Play the top non-spying bronze or silver unit from your deck and boost it by 10, but it gives 5 to the opponent. So it's a bit interesting. It's some deck cycling, and deck cycling is very important in Gwent because you do have a small number of very powerful cards, but yeah, the rest of your deck has to be bronze cards. So if your bronze cards cycle through your deck, if your silver cards cycle through your deck, you're going to have a higher occurrence of the powerful cards. And that's the idea there. So now I wouldn't recommend passing here because I'd recommend just bleeding him out. If I play a card, he has to play a card. You know, I can play actually a pretty weak card. That's just pretty good. Boost random element each row by 4. That's actually a 16... is it 16? No, 14-point bronze card, just incredibly strong. So the idea of my deck is I just keep playing cards regardless of how crappy they are. And the reason I'm constantly playing cards is so he has to lose cards. Wow, that's something. Oh boy, okay. Might actually be a bit tougher to win the last round. So I play a card. Instead of passing, he has to play a card. And I'm going to try to save the powerful cards until the very last round. Now that might be a bit difficult because he just played a resilience dwarf. I have my own guy too, and okay, well, looks like I'm not going to be killing that this round. Of course. Sure, let's boost 1 in each row because in the last round I'm not going to have that many cards. Okay. Wow. Now, even though I might actually be losing, so let's say my opponent had like 100 points and I had like 80, because I won the first round, he wouldn't be able to pass. Because if he passes, it's not passing just 1 turn, it's passing the rest of the round. If you're 1 game behind, you really can never pass. So that's kind of the idea there. Resurrect a bronze. What do I have in terms of bronze? I have the defender. Oh no, it's 5 power or less. I do not have the defender. I have the slave driver, so... What if I play the slave driver from my graveyard? And no, that didn't work. I was hoping to get a card much like another Mahakam defender there, but no, I did not get that. So we're still bleeding him out. Actually, we might just win this round. Actually, we are going to win this round now that I think about it. No, I don't want to play any of those cards. If he can have more than 15 points from his last card, I guess he'll take the round and we'll go to the last one. I'm not even sure what he just played there. Resurrect a non-leader golden unit, and he doesn't have one. So his last card was dead, so he won. But that was a game against an AI. Probably not going to go that way when you actually play against a real player. Anyway, that's it for my introduction to Gwent. I hope you guys kind of get the idea of the game a little bit better. Check out the coming games. Check out Gwent. Links below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Patience is not a virtue I am known to have.
Okay, who am I against? Weather. Ooh, that might be a little tricky. I can still get the other spy. So I want to win the first round.
There is but one punishment for traitors.
Fight for the Emperor and you might be freed!
Oh, damn. Passed.
No one can hide from me.
Pass there is absolute suicide.
I'll do what I can.
Do not assume you can order me around. Enough! Let us finish this.
I shall do as you command.
Take that back, I guess.
That was nothing to spell.
Let's get rid of these things in my deck. I don't like them. What does that do? 2 to the lowest?
Now, how did that incantation go?
So if I res, I get him and I pull a different one.
Now, how did that incantation go?
Okay. I'm gonna start killing things if I can. This is gonna go more than 5 turns, I think.
We follow Letho's lead.
So I'm gonna put that there because it'll get 1 less damage off the roach. Okay. It's a crappy card. Let's pull the gold from the deck too.
I'm too old for this shit.
Great. I'm basically thinning my deck as much as possible right now.
Obedience or the lash?
Can I reset the ice giant? Force 2 to duel each other.
The common folk. I care for them.
Okay.
There'll be nothing to pick up when I'm done with you.
Here's our chance.
I think I can actually win.
We follow Letho's lead.
I sense your pain. I see your fear.
It's 10 points right now. Question is, will it ever be more? I think I have to pass here. Here in return. Okay.
I am no Nilfgaardian.
There is but one punishment for traitors.
Fine, weakened by 6 there. Yeah, I'm gonna pass now. That's pretty good. He goes first, right? Yeah, he's done. I'm okay with that.
Time to get our hands dirty.
Let's get this over with.
We follow Letho's lead. Here's our chance.
Yep. You can hide your hand and watch the grave at the same time. Okay.